Okay, so we should have all got to this game or created this game last week, where as soon as we click on the green flag, my character sort of just starts in the middle of the screen, drops down, and I'm able to move him to the left and the right using the right arrows and the right and left keys. Um, Now, what I did do is I got my character to jump up by using the space key. Some of you may have used the up key, that's fine. And what I made sure we had was that it fell down until it actually touched the platform. Now, obviously, there are a few bugs with this. Another thing that what we did was we actually got him to climb up the wall, and then he was able to climb up the wall and jump and touch my sort of green target area, and then that started again. Now, there are obviously a few bugs with this. A couple of them we will look to improve this week or this during this video. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how we can actually improve on our gravity. Now, what I'm going to do is I will add two things. I would say, firstly, as long as you're not touching the color of my floor or the color of the wall, then do not fall down. Um, and the other thing I would also add is I would actually add a level of gravity there as well instead of using the constant number. So the constant number being that it's always remaining -5. I would actually incorporate a variable there as well. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually go ahead and add a variable. And as you guys know, I would head over to variables and I would make a variable. And this one, I would actually call it gravity. Okay, you can call it gravity, fall, whatever you wish to help you understand exactly what that variable is for. I will actually set my gravity to a particular number. In this case over here, I've got -5. Um, okay, and I've added that into there. The reason why we're doing this is we can actually play around with that variable later on. And I would actually change my y by gravity by dragging that there as well. So that will be -5. So far, what that should do is not actually have an effect on our coding at all. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to say that if to continue falling, or as long as you're not touching the color of the floor, or as long as you're not touching the color of my wall, because like we said, we wanted him to look as if he's actually climbing up the wall. Now, the work that we're going to do is this might be a little bit tricky. Is I'm going to head over to operators and I'm going to use the or option here. And I'm going to say, as long as you're not touching this color, or, and then I'm going to head over to sensing the same way we did that last week. So now we've got that code there. And obviously I want to use the color picker to get the color that we had. Okay, so feel free to pause that and see how that goes. Now, if I just very quickly test that out, my character does walk across. And as he gets to the wall, he does actually climb up. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, he's climbed up there. Okay, so if you wanted to pause this and head over and try and give that a go, and once you're done, if you'd like to just head back, and then we can look at the next point to improve on. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to also try and smoothen our jump. So what we've got so far, we said as long as my space key is pressed, I want you to change Y by 15. Now, what we're going to try and do is, I mean, this is a minor improvement. We're going to try and smoothen that fall back down. So what I'm going to do is I will actually add another variable. Okay, and now this one would be related to his jump. So I would actually call that jump. Remember, you can call it whatever you wish, but obviously make sure that your names of your variables are relevant. Don't just call them 1, 2, 3. We want to make sure that they are names that we can remember and use whenever we need to. So I'm going to set my jump. Now, in this case, I've got 15. So what I'm going to do is, let's take that out. I'm going to set my jump. And I'm going to move this, actually. I'm going to move this out of the way so that we can have a bit more space to code this. So I'm going to set my jump to 15. So that will be exactly what we had before. And now if I was to say change Y by jump, that will actually do the same thing it was doing before. But what we're going to do instead now is we're going to actually smoothen that jump. So he would actually jump by 15. And we're also going to use, in this, we're going to use a repeat until loop. So we're going to get it to repeat a few instructions until it gets to 0. So we're going to repeat this until our jump is equal to 0. Okay, what we're going to tell him to do, we're going to change y by jump, and he will continuously do that. However, we will decrease that. So we're going to say change jump by, let's see what happens if we keep that as 1. If I jump, as we saw, he flew up. That is constantly changing, or he's constantly going up. We're going to actually change that by -1 and see that he will constantly come down until, okay, so a little bit of a different sort of it's a smoother jump. So if what we'll do is I'll show you the difference. So if I get rid of that, let's use the up key for that. So the previous one looked like this. There's a new one. He jumps higher, but it is a slightly smoother jump, and what that does is that just improves for better gameplay. Now, let me just get rid of that. Okay, now another thing that some of you guys may have had an issue with is ideally you may have wanted your character to be able to jump and walk at the same time. At the moment, what happens with my character is he will jump, but he will not move forward. He can jump and then move forward. So we are actually going to edit these 2 blocks of code here. What we've said is when the right arrow key is pressed, do these certain instructions. When that's happened, it's doing other things in the background. And once those things are done, that's when it could actually do that again or do anything at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to amend these. We would actually say when my green flag is clicked, let's move this down here so we know exactly what we're doing. When my green flag is clicked, what we're going to say, we're going to use a forever if. Now, as we do know, they do similar things, but forever if would allow that code to run constantly. So forever if, and we're going to head over to my sensing, and we will say as long as my right key is pressed, it will follow these instructions. So now what would happen is as soon as my green flag is clicked and it's running all of those codes, if I jump, okay, I can actually jump in a sort of jump forward and up at the same time. Okay, so if I try that with my left arrow, that would not actually work. But if I try it with my right arrow, that would work perfectly. So what I will do is I will very quickly duplicate that. I will change that over to my left key. And what I will also do is I will just flip that over to -90. And I can get rid of that as well. So a few things we've done so far. I've actually edited my left and right jump, so I've improved that. And I've also improved my jump as well as me sort of climbing up this, climbing up the wall as opposed to just falling down each time. Okay, so there we go. There's a few things there. Now I'll let you guys give you guys a minute if you guys want to just copy that over. Feel free to pause my video and move along. Remember, we do have a few of these variables which you can play around with. You can change them if you wish. So I can change that to -3, for example. Okay, and that is obviously a much sharper drop. That shouldn't have happened. That's not good. Okay, now the reason why we've got this issue here is because -2 is not a it's not a factor of 15. So what we could do is we could actually change that to 103. 103 both go into 15. -2 2 would not go into 15. So when that comes down to 1, takes away 2 again, that would actually go to -1. So that would never sort of meet that. We could do if jump is less than 0 if we wanted. But anyway, I'm going to switch that back to -1. Okay. So like I said, pause the video, and if you want to get those 2 bits of code done, we can do. Okay, now another thing we might want to edit is we may want to only jump up if you're actually touching the blue. Then we would actually add some code within our jumping area, and we could say over here the way we've got to only sort of keep on falling unless if you touch. Or keep on falling until you touch the blue. We could say only jump up if you're touching blue as well. We will come back to that later on. But the next thing we will actually incorporate now is we would actually incorporate another sprite. Now this sprite will be something which will fall down and will be something for my character to actually try and dodge. Remember, we do have these variables showing here. We can actually remove them, which we will do later on. Now we will actually choose a new sprite. I'm going to actually choose a ball because a ball will it'll be very nice to code, get it to roll over. We've got beach ball here. We've got our own ball here. Not really happy with that ball anyway. We've got balloon, got a bowl. It's up to you, but I think that a bowl would, something round like a ball would be good. I'm going to head over down to the soccer ball, and I will actually use a soccer ball itself. I'm not entirely happy with the size of that, and as we know, I can actually change the size of that, which I will do. I'll make it 30% of its current size. Like I said, you can change that as you wish. Now, what we're going to say is as soon as that ball is, as soon as the game starts, what we want that ball to do is hide. So if I head over to my green flag, as soon as my green flag is clicked, we will actually get my ball to hide from the looks. And what we're going to do, so this character itself would never show. We're actually going to get it to create a clone of itself constantly. So we're going to say forever, because it will do this all the time. We're going to get it to wait a few seconds. Now the speed you may do this is up to you. You may want to incorporate a variable at some point. That's fine. But I'm going to get it to wait every 5 seconds. And after every 5 seconds, what I want it to do is create a clone of myself. So now imagine as soon as my game is clicked, I've got my character who's running around all nicely. This ball does hide. And what's going on is we cannot see it, but it's constantly creating a clone of itself. Now what we're going to do once a clone is created, what we're going to say, okay, when I start as a clone, so every 5 seconds, this is what's going to happen. We want it to go to a particular place. I'm going to get it to go over here, so at this green area here. So if I just drag that over for exactly where I want, as you can see, my coordinates have changed here. I'm going to get it to go to these coordinates. I'm going to head over to motion and go to these coordinates here. And then I'm going to get it to all of a sudden show. So it's gone to those coordinates and it's shown as well. Now the next thing I want it to do is I want to actually get it to fall down onto this floor, and I want to get it to roll over. So there's a few ways we could do this. I can get it to repeat a certain number of times, and I can get it to also then change Y, let's say by minus a minus number. So remember, we can actually speed that up as well. So now, okay, let's wait 5 seconds. My ball should appear and it's fallen down. Now what I can do is I can really just play around with this. Let's try 100. Let's test that out again. It all should come self. Okay, so that was a little bit too much. Okay, but we can play around with those numbers a bit until we've got a number we are happy with. Okay, so that 55 looks good. I might actually want to change that to 53. And once we're happy with that, we can then get it to again I'm not going to duplicate that. I can get that to repeat a certain number of times, and I can also get it to change X. Okay, thinking about how much it's going to come there. I can get it to change X by minus, because I want it to come to the left. Let's say minus 3, and I may want to get that to repeat, say 45 times. Okay, obviously that hasn't reached there yet. I can play around with that until I get that to the actual figure that I want. That would make it look nice and smooth. Minus 55, let's try minus 58. So I repeat 58 times, and I will actually get it to turn as well, so it will look like it's rolling. Okay, so I have messed around with that, and I've got the figures that I want. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Now, what you may want to do is, and we will come back to this and improve this later on for our following levels, but this helps us to actually play around and constantly edit some of our figures until we get exactly what we want. I will actually add another turn in there as well. Let's get that to rotate a little bit slower. And I can actually repeat those two again. And again, like I said, change them to the numbers that we want. Okay, so that was close. Let's try that 55. And that we can try 85. Okay, so we've got my balls that are dropping around. And then what I can do is right at the end, I can tell it to hide as well. So I've got my ball that is moving around. Okay, I'll let you go. I'll let you sort of just give that a pause and try and get that coded as well. Let me zoom out of that slightly. Okay. Now the next thing I'd want to do, give me a pause and try and get that coded. And we will come around and we will edit that, because obviously there will be issues with that, which we will cover later on. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to say is obviously if he hits my character, I want it to do something. So again, I'm going to say, now this is something that we've used in the past. I would say as soon as my clone is created, we want it to run a forever loop. If you guys remember, we have done something very similar to this. And we've said if you end up touching my sprite, then we can broadcast. This is something we did do in one of the other lessons. I will actually broadcast, and I can say, call it a message, which in this case will be hit. So once that character is hit, it will broadcast a message. So now I will actually code this character to do something at that point. So what we will say is I will actually duplicate this so that when it gets hit, it would actually go back to the beginning. When I receive hit, go back to the beginning. Okay, so that's what we will cover for today. I will get another video up soon. Let me head back to the soccer ball. So I did that bit of coding. When the code is started, forever, run that sensor. If it touches the character, then broadcast hit. Once it receives that broadcast, it will actually head back to the beginning. So let's test this out now. So I am running across. I will try to jump up. Okay, I can jump over that. Okay, and now I very quickly run across. I need to try and dodge these balls. Now, obviously, we do have the issue with the ball there, not exactly sort of following gravity, but that's something we will edit later on. Okay, so let's get to that stage. Okay, well done.